said, well, there's no way I can commit to doing those things. That mindset, it's the first thing to go. It's the first thing to cut out of your life. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Kettlebell Guys podcast. Today is going to be a Grant rant. It's Coach Grant with you. I hope you guys are crushing it, whatever you are doing today, this week. And today on the podcast, I wanted to talk about, if you're new to Kettlebell Transformation, if you've been following us for a long time, I'll give you guys a quick backstory. Sean and I started Kettlebell Transformation in October of 2021, and it was just Sean and I. Sean did a lot of the coaching. I did a lot of the organic posting and a lot of the sales, like getting new guys who are interested in our program to join. And it's wild now. Now we have 5 sales guys. We have 11 full-time coaches, not even including our director of coaching and so many support staff behind the scenes. And so this is a total tangent, but it's just so wild to think about how Kettlebell Transformation has gone from just a concept, an idea in Sean and I's minds, and then just Sean and I, to over 25 people on our team now. So it's pretty wild. But this story, the reason for this podcast is because one of my sales guys was talking to someone who was interested in KT. And at the end of their call, he was going through the contract. He was going through what is required of our guys to be successful in our program. And there's 6 stipulations in our contract where, you have to be willing to do these things in order to get results. Because if you don't do these things, you're probably not going to get great results. And it's, off the top of my head, it's, training 4 days a week, walking a certain amount of steps, following the nutrition progression that we lay out for guys at least 90% of the time, not even 100% of the time, just 90% of the time. And then it's staying in contact with your coach, making sure you're going to your meetings. And then just when your coach requests a video from you for a video review of your technique, make sure you send it to them. And, one of our, a prospect of ours was like reading those, and he was like, there's no way I can commit to doing those things. There's no way I can commit to being consistent on those things. And man, it hit me, because you know what he said? He said, I run a company and I've got kids and life happens. There's just no way I'm going to be able to be consistent with those things. And first of all, number one, of course, there's no way, no one in our program is going to be absolutely perfect the rest of their lives. That's just not how it goes, right? No one is perfect. None of us. But number 2, it's a totally different thing to look at that and look at the idea of training 4 days a week, hitting nutrition targets 90% of the time, making sure you're walking, making sure you stay in communication with your coach, and looking at that and immediately saying, well, I run a company, AKA my career, and I have kids, AKA my family life, the schedule behind that, and say, there is no way that I can commit to being consistent on those things because, quote unquote, life happens. And I was watching this call and I was thinking to myself, okay, that must be that's a thought that goes into a lot of guys' minds when I think over time they get out of shape, right? I think for a lot of guys, they gain, you gain 20, 30, 40, 50 plus pounds. You find yourself at 240, 250, 260, 270 plus pounds. But you didn't just get there overnight. You got there because you probably spent the last 10, 15, 20 years with that mindset, with the mindset of, I'm focused on my career. I need to make money. I need to be the provider. I need to provide not only the essentials, the necessities for myself and my family, but I also need to be able to provide the nest egg for us to be able to do fun things in our life, and the nest egg for us to be able to retire someday. Right? So there's the driver of that priority. It becomes number 1 priority. I got to go make money. I got to focus on my career. And then number 2, you get married and you have kids. That adds a new layer of responsibility, a new layer of prioritization in your life, where almost 100% of the guys that we talk to have probably put their health and fitness on the back burner because they have kids, right? They will, it's the first thing to go. It's the first thing to cut out of your life when you have a family and you have kids. You're not going to spend time focusing on yourself because you got kids that you got to watch, you got kids you got to take care of, you can't make it to the gym, you don't have time to make it to the gym. Kids get older, you got to shuttle them around, you got to take kids places, you got weekends full of sports activities, you got weekends full of shuttling kids to and from things. And on top of that, you're working 40, 50, 60, 70-hour weeks. And there's just not like, I'm focused on those two things. I'm focused on my health, and I'm focused on not focused on my health. I'm focused on my career, and I'm focused on my family. And I think for most of you guys who are listening to this, who find yourselves out of shape and in a place where you objectively want to change it, most guys, that's the narrative, right? Like that's the narrative. That's what happens is you spent years focusing on those things. And then slowly but surely, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years goes by. And then you wake up one year and you look and you're just like, man, I am not where I want to be from a health and fitness perspective. And okay, if I don't change something, my life into my 50s, my 60s, my 70s, my 80s is not going to be a life that's very well lived, because you're not going to be able to do the things you want to do. And you're going to be getting out of breath walking from your car to your grandkid's soccer game, or going up the stairs, or getting out of a damn chair is going to be a fucking chore. And so you see a lot of guys get to the point where they're like, oh shit, I've made these trade-offs for so long. Now these trade-offs are starting to bite me in the ass. It's interesting, right? Because you find yourself in this position where right now, in the present, right now, today, you have to make objective changes around your priorities. You got to make objective changes around what you deem to be important or negotiable and non-negotiable. It's something we talk about all the time. I feel like it's almost like I'm a broken record. I feel like sometimes on these podcasts, or whenever I talk to clients, or I talk to prospects, or I talk to my team who's talking to prospects. And when this prospect said, well, no, dude, life happens. Like, there's no way I can commit to being consistent with that stuff because life happens. Well, here's the reality. If you find yourself at 275 pounds and you objectively want to change that, and then over the course of the next 30 years of your life, or however long, you want to maintain it, right? That's the ideal end outcome, is that you lose weight, and then over the next 20, 30, 40 years, you actually maintain it, so that when you are 75, 85, 95 years old, you actually enjoy those years, right? Well, the objective truth around that is that at a certain point, you are going to have to make one single mindset shift. Because I think it's interesting, right? They can see this long-term vision of, okay, if I start taking care of myself when I'm 65, 75, 85, I'm going to feel so much better then. So they can see that, and they can still in the present decide not to take action on it. It's like, I see how good that would be, but there's so many reasons why I can't do the stuff I have to do right now, right? Even if it's like, it would be so great for me to do that stuff, right? No, I can see how that would be helpful, but I'm just too busy right now. And so that's obviously not enough. It's not enough to look into the future when you're 90 and be like, I know that if I want to live the life I want to live then, I have to change what I'm doing now. That's usually not enough. And so the single mindset shift, I was racking my brain trying to think to myself, okay, what mindset change does an individual have to go through in order to make the changes that they have to make in order to then reap the benefits of those changes? And this has nothing to do with guys choosing to join KT or not. It's just guys choosing to get healthier. Like, objectively, you got to start moving more, working out, lifting weights, eating healthy foods, sleeping more, managing your stress. And you got to do that stuff every week for the rest of your life. I don't care where you go and do that. But if you're out of shape right now and it bothers you, at a certain point, you're going to have to make the decision to do those things and never fucking quit for the rest of your life. That's just the fucking game you have to play. Pardon my freaking French. And so I was thinking to myself, what mindset shift, what moment of synergy does a guy have to go through in order for him to realize that mindset is wrong? That, hey, dude, life happens. I'm not going to do this stuff. I'm not going to be able to be perfect on this stuff. It could be just a conversation around the fact that, like, dude, you don't have to be perfect. That's not even the conversation we're having here. But regardless, using the idea of, like, dude, life happens as a reason to not even start. And so what I came to as I was racking my brain is, I think that at a certain point, guys have to realize just how much those two areas of your life will benefit from you getting healthier, just how much your career will benefit and your family life, and everything from your spouse to your relationship with your kids, will get better if you are healthier. Let's start with your career. You might be a guy who runs a company right now, who has a high level job, who say you're a founder of a company that's seriously successful, that does 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 50 million plus. You know that people in the business space, it is just human nature to judge other individuals based immediately on their body. You might not like that, which is fine. That's okay. There's lots of things in life that I don't like, but they're still the truth. Is that people will judge you based on the way that you look. They will judge their perception of your level of discipline, of your level of consistency, of your level of prioritization in your life, of your being able to handle. It might be cool that you can handle and grow a company, but you obviously couldn't do it while also taking care of yourself. And so you know that those perceptions are out there immediately the second you shake someone's hand. The other side of that is less about other people's opinions and more about your opinion of yourself and your confidence level in yourself when you go and do a sales presentation, when you go and speak to your team, when you go and meet new prospects, when you go and meet with clients. How do you feel about yourself? And then if you don't feel good about yourself, if you feel like your suit is tight, like your belly's hanging over your belt, if your shirt can't button up, like you can barely fit the necktie around your neck, if you are thinking those thoughts about yourself in a negative manner, do you think that it would be fair to say that that negative energy comes off in some way, shape, or form to everyone around you, to your entire coworkers, to your staff, to your peers, to your clients? Of course it does. If you're thinking about it, some of you don't care. Well, I would doubt it. You probably aren't listening to this podcast if you don't care. But if you're listening to this podcast, you probably do care, which means that you where your focus goes, your energy flows, which means that you have energy going towards the thought process of, damn, I don't feel confident in my own body, in my own skin, which then can be perceived by every single person around you. Now, how much different would your career be if you were healthier, if you had more energy, if you were sleeping better, if you were fitting into clothes that you actually felt confident in? How much pep would you have in your step if you were in clothes that you actually enjoyed? If you were in a body that felt strong, that had muscle, that dropped body, that had less body fat on it, that just like you actually looked in the mirror and you felt, fuck yeah. Like that's the guy. That is the guy. My body matches the image of myself that I have in my own head. How much different would you show up to work every day? How much different what different vibes would you give off to everyone around you? And not only that, not only your career, how's that? It's the same thought process with your entire family. But here's the thing about your family that can be different about, I think, your job and your career and your coworkers is that same thing goes in place. If you're not confident in yourself, you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, you don't give your best self to your wife, to your partner, to your kids. They see it too. You're just you don't feel comfortable. And here's the thing that I've noticed that in my own life, it's when we are not that happy, when we are upset or frustrated about something, it's so much easier for us to show that around the people that we love the most. And so it's much easier to hide it around coworkers, around people that are just like you see from a day-to-day standpoint. It's much easier for us to wear on our skin how frustrated we are. That's not the right saying. It is easy for us to showcase that to the people that we care about the most for some reason. That's just life. At least that's what I've noticed in my life when I'm frustrated. Which means that if you don't feel good about yourself, that your kids and your wife and your partner, they know it. And so you flip that on its head. It's like, how much better would you feel about yourself? And in turn, what type of energy would you give to your entire family? What type of reality would your kids grow up with if their dad was active with them, running around with them, playing games, playing sports with them, not sitting on the sidelines, not, huffing and puffing, walking up the stairs in the bleachers to watch their game. How much better of a childhood would your kids have if you actually took care of yourself and you showcased to them what it looks like to be healthy, to be fit, to take care of yourself, to have mental and physical discipline? How much more confident would you feel around yourself, and what type of reality would you create for your wife? Some of you guys say to yourself, oh, my wife doesn't care. We've been married for 10 years. She doesn't care what I look like. Bull fucking shit. Just bullshit. She doesn't care. She still loves you. She didn't marry you purely for your body. I don't think so. At least most people don't. But to say that she doesn't care, yeah, right. To say that it wouldn't turn her on or make her feel any sort of awesome, pretty cool feelings to watch you take care of yourself and to watch you try to build a body that not only you would be proud of, but she would be fucking proud of, that she would want to be able to like put her hands on your shoulders and be like, damn, you've been working out. You fucking worked hard for this. You don't think that she cares about that at all? I mean, are you living in a cave? Like, in what world? We are human beings. We're physical human beings. Of course we care about that. Of course we care about our partners showing a level of initiative and wanting to be proud of their own body and putting in the work to be able to create something that they actually feel good in. Of course your partner cares about that. And of course, your partner would be able to experience a completely different reality of your relationship together with one another, one where you take care of yourself, you're strong, you're healthy, you work out, you feel good, you're sleeping well, you can give her more, you give her more attention, you're not frustrated, you're not thinking about your body, not thinking about how you're not confident in yourself. You don't even think about that stuff, which means that all that brain space that you had thinking about all that shit before, you are able to give to your partner. You're able to give to your wife. You're able to give to your kids. See, right now, if you're out of shape, it means it takes up some sort of your brain space. It takes up some sort of your energy. And whatever percentage that is, 1%, 5%, 10%, 25, 50% of the time, that is energy that you are not able to give to every other area of your life. And you might not be in a place yet where you deem that extra 50% given to your wife would matter that much. Well, that's fine. That means that you and I will never align on the importance of what it means to take care of your health. We will never align on that. That's okay. It's fine. It is what it is. It's like someone being a Green Bay Packer fan and I'm a Chicago Bears fan. We will never see eye to eye on certain things, but that's okay. But if the thing is that like, if you do want the ultimate end outcome, which is where you're healthy and you're fit and you're strong and you have the body that you want and you then have the ability to maintain it for the next 30 years, at a certain point, the one mindset shift that you have to make is you have to make this mindset shift where like you believe in your bones that every area of my life gets better when I focus on these things, when I deem these things to be non-negotiable. I don't miss areas of my life. I don't get taken away from all these areas of my life because I focus on these things. These other areas of my life don't get worse when I focus on working out, eating healthier, going for walks, focusing on my health and fitness. You have to make that change. You have to deem that these things are non-negotiable because my career and my family get better. Everything in my life gets better when I do these things. And until you make that shift, that mindset shift, until you have that moment of synergy where that becomes real for you, you will always deem that this is a thing that you can deprioritize. You can always trade off for this. You can always push this to the side. You can always tell yourself that is reserved for a time when I have more time. That is reserved for a time when, like, if there's something stressful going on in my life, the thing that I can cut out is my health and fitness, my workouts, my eating healthy, because it's just not, it has no impact on the rest of my life. And if you believe that, you will always be stuck. You will always be in a body that you don't enjoy. Hear me again. If you don't ever make that mindset shift where doing these things will have a positive impact on every area of your life, and you believe deeply that every area of your life, your career, your family, your kids, your relationships, all get better when you are healthier, until you make that shift, you will always deem this stuff to be like, I can do it later. because I have stuff going on in my career right now. Things are really busy right now. I've got kids' sports and all this schedules with my kids is just too busy right now. I can't focus on myself. You will always, always be stuck. And you will have a body that reflects that mindset. You will have a body that reflects that trade-off. And what that objectively means for a lot of you guys is that you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to see 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds of body fat just hanging off of your frame that you inherently hate, that you don't like. And you will feel it in the way that you walk. You will feel it in the way that you jog. You will feel it when you are intimate with your partner. You will feel it when you try to pick your kids up. You will feel it. All those areas of your life are going to have that impact, that negative impact. And you may think to yourself, no, it's not a negative impact enough for me to make changes about it, which is fine. That's your decision. But like, dude, you got to understand. I think the point of this is to understand what you are leaving on the table and just how different the experience of you with everyone else in your life would be. And what you are keeping away from them, what you are taking away from them by saying, nah, life happens. I can't do this stuff. With that being said, this is a long Grant rant, but I hope that one of my biggest hopes for every guy that we talk to and for every guy that I think follows us and for every guy that wants to make changes is that at a certain point, you got to have this moment. And we call it a moment of synergies. It's a moment of synergy where it becomes real for you that shit, if I want this to be my reality, well, then these are the actions that I need to commit to. And I need to do my best to stick with long term. It does not mean you're going to be perfect. Let me be clear. You will not be perfect, but you will always come back to them because you deem them to be non-negotiable. And you have to have, for every single guy, my goal is that every guy has that realization. Because future you, 20, 30, 40 years from now, it's worth it for that guy. And present you, the guy that handles everything that you handle, that carries the weight that you carry, the burden of being the provider, the burden of driving your business forward, the burden of being a high-level executive, the burden of being a husband, being a father, that burden gets easier. That weight gets easier to carry when you take care of yourself. My goal is for guys to realize that, because the sooner you realize that, the sooner you start enjoying life a lot more. At least that's what I've seen from the guys who we've coached in this program. And by this point, we've had over 1,000 guys go through this program. So with that being said, that was a long enough Grant rant. It is 2026. I hope you guys, if you haven't had that moment of synergy, I hope this is the year that you have it. And I hope this is the year that you decide to start taking care of yourself and then you never quit for the rest of your life. Because I know that whether you like me or not after listening to this podcast, whether you're like, yeah, screw you, Grant, which is fine if you are like that. It's okay. I can take it. But I hope that for every guy who's listening to this, you have that moment of synergy where you start taking care of yourself and you never stop. Because it will be worth it in the long run. And it will be worth it in your present, in your everyday, right now. It will be worth it. I promise you that. So with that being said, Happy New Year. It's 10 days into the new year. It's January 10th when I'm recording this. Happy New Year, y'all. May this be the year that you take control of your health and never look back. Just like the Bears took the North this year, and they're never giving it back. And with that being said, see you guys in the next pod.